was one I remember rather recently, a few years ago, after the disaster of 9/11. A bill was brought to the floor. It wasn't quite as big, but it was big. And it had been around before. It wasn't written after 9/11. But it was brought to the forefront then because they figured they could get it passed. And that was the Patriot Act. So the Patriot Act was brought on the floor, huge bill like that, 1 hour debate. Nobody had really access to it. And then it was voted on. I was sitting beside another member of Congress. I said, "Why are you voting for this?" He said, I said, "You haven't had a chance to read it." He said, "Well, I know I haven't had a chance to read it." I said, "Could it have some bad stuff in there?" He said, "Oh, that's not quite possible." And I said, "Well, why are you voting for it?" He says, "Well, how am I going to go home? It's called the Patriot Act. I'm going to vote against the Patriot Act after 9/11. I said, "Why did you go home and explain why you're voting against it? You don't understand it." But unfortunately, that's the way so much is done down there. And even the motivation behind a huge bill like this, it's never to tell the truth about what it's going to do to us. It's always if you care about people. If you care about those who don't have health care, you have to vote for this. It's always the compassion angle. So everything is based on the fact that if you don't vote for a certain thing, you're unpatriotic or un-American, or you're not compassionate enough to take care of people. I think of the thing that we have just gone through here in recent years, although it's been a decade or two that the financial bubble was building, but it was a huge housing bubble, and it was a predictable bubble. A lot of us understood it. The free market Austrian economists knew exactly what was out there and said that it was going to burst and it was going to hurt. But why did we have this housing bubble? Well, we had excessive credit. It was pumped in there by the Fed. Then there were affirmative action programs that told banks you must make loans to people even if they don't qualify. And it was a magic for everybody because you bought a house, you didn't have to put any money down, and the prices went up. Your $100,000 house became worth $150,000 house. You could go back and borrow more. And those who were the ones that said that we have to be compassionate, give everybody a house, victory, they declared. We care about people. It's you conservative libertarian constitutionalists. You don't care. You hold this Constitution overly rigid. And but we take care of people. Everybody has a house. Yes, but what was forming was a huge financial bubbles. There were derivatives, market developed. There was a Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac corruption. And it was very obvious what was going to happen. So the bubble burst. And then there's yelling and screaming. They said, we have to do something. And the people who are hurt, the people who did all the speculating, we're going to go bankrupt. There's going to be a depression unless you bail us out. And guess what? The people in the Congress, they responded. They bailed out all those who had made a lot of money in the financial bubble. But what happened? The people in the middle class and the poor lost their jobs, and then they lost their house. And this is where we are today. And that's what the compassionate philosophy does. Yes, they base it on compassion, but it is not compassion to use government force to redistribute wealth.